A girl received a very unusual puppy as a gift. Gradually, she got used to his strange appearance, but after a few months, something shocking happened. Sarah had recently moved to a small coastal town called Ocean View. She got a job at the local library and was trying to settle into her new place. Her apartment on the third floor of an old building seemed empty and lonely. Sarah often thought about how she lacked a good friend. One day on her way home from work, she decided to take a walk along the seafront. It was a cloudy day, and the cool sea breeze chilled her to the bone. The waves crashed against the shore, and seagulls screeched in the gray sky. Sarah was about to turn back home when she noticed a strange figure on a bench. It was a hunched-over old woman wrapped in a tattered sea-green cloak. Next to her was a large woven basket covered with an old knitted shawl. Sarah wanted to walk past, but something made her stop. Perhaps it was the sad look in the old woman's eyes, or the barely audible squeak coming from the basket. Sarah approached and politely greeted her. The old woman raised her eyes, which reflected the sea, and weakly smiled. "Hello, dear," she whispered in a hoarse voice. "Would you like to see my treasure?" Intrigued, Sarah nodded. The old woman's trembling hands lifted the edge of the shawl covering the basket. Sarah gasped in surprise. In the basket, curled up on a soft blanket, was the most unusual puppy she had ever seen. He was tiny, the size of a palm. Most of his body was completely hairless, except for a few tufts of cream-colored fur on his head and tail. His enormous eyes, the color of melted chocolate, took up almost half of his face. His ears, resembling the petals of an exotic flower, stood upright, giving the puppy an alien-like appearance. "What breed is this?" Sarah asked, unable to take her eyes off the strange creature. The old woman shrugged. "Who knows? His mother was an ordinary mongrel, and the father must have been something unusual. I found this little one in a box on the beach a week ago. No one wants to take him because of his repulsive appearance." Sarah felt her heart clench. She reached out, and the puppy cautiously sniffed her fingers with his small pink nose. His tiny tongue, like a rose petal, licked Sarah's palm. At that moment, she knew she couldn't leave him there. "I'll take him," Sarah said, surprising herself with her determination. The old woman beamed. "Really? Oh, thank you, dear. I was so worried about his fate. Take care of him and love him no matter what." Sarah picked up the puppy. He was so light, almost weightless. His skin was warm and soft to the touch, like peach flesh. The puppy trustingly pressed against Sarah's chest, and she felt herself melting with tenderness. At home, Sarah arranged a cozy spot for the puppy in a woven basket lined with a soft fleece blanket and small cushions. She thought long and hard about a name and finally decided to call him Milo. It suited the unusual little one perfectly. Milo spent his first night curled up on Sarah's bed, quietly snoring in his sleep. In the morning, Sarah went to the pet store tail and paused for everything she needed for the puppy. The bearded salesman in glasses raised his eyebrows in surprise when she described Milo's appearance. He suggested that it might be a mix of a Chinese crested dog, a rather expensive breed costing several $1,000s, with some other breed, possibly a Chihuahua. Sarah bought a special shampoo for sensitive skin with aloe scent, a soft brush with natural bristles, colorful squeaky toys, and premium puppy food for small breeds. She also got a small leather collar with an address tag in the shape of a bone. Now Milo was officially a member of her family. The first days were challenging. Milo was afraid of loud noises and strangers. He flinched at every rustle and often hid under the bed or in Sarah's shoe closet. He was especially frightened by the sound of the vacuum cleaner. He would crawl into the farthest corner and shake like a leaf. Sarah patiently got him used to his new surroundings. She spoke to him in a soft voice, singing lullabies she remembered from childhood. She always carried Milo in her arms, wrapped in a soft scarf, when she left the house. Gradually, the puppy began to get used to the city sounds and the smells of his new home. Milo turned out to be incredibly smart. He quickly learned to ask to go outside by scratching a special bell Sarah hung on the door. For each success, she rewarded him with a tiny piece of dried meat, which Milo adored. Slowly, he began to settle in at home. He curiously explored the apartment, carefully sniffing every corner and item. He was especially fascinated by Sarah's collection of antique books. He could sit in front of the bookshelf for hours, as if trying to read their titles. Milo loved playing with a crinkling ball that Sarah made for him out of foil. He chased it all over the apartment, making funny noises that sounded like sneezing. And when Sarah came home from work, Milo greeted her with joyful squeals, wagging his little curly tail. Sarah found that caring for a hairless dog had its own peculiarities. Milo's skin dried out easily, so it needed regular moisturizing with a special lotion with vitamin E. On sunny days, Sarah applied baby sunscreen to his delicate skin to prevent burns. In cold weather, Milo needed warm clothes. Sarah bought him several funny sweaters and jumpsuits. He looked especially cute in a knitted sweater with reindeer, looking like a little Christmas elf. But there were no problems with shedding, which Sarah considered a big plus. Neighbors and passers-by often stared at Milo with surprise. Some openly called him ugly, and one elderly neighbor even crossed herself when she saw the puppy. But Sarah didn't care. To her, Milo was the most beautiful creature in the world. Time passed and Milo grew. From a tiny puppy, he turned into a graceful medium-sized dog. His skin acquired a beautiful pinkish beige hue, reminiscent of a peach. The fur on his head grew into a fluffy mohawk like that of a rock star. Milo's character also changed. From a timid puppy, he turned into a confident and friendly dog. He loved playing with other dogs in the park, especially with a huge Saint Bernard named Bruno, with whom Milo formed a real friendship. Milo never missed an opportunity to greet passers-by, charming them with his unusual appearance and friendly nature. Sarah and Milo became inseparable. They went to the beach together, where Milo loved swimming in the sea, cutting through the waves with his graceful body. On weekends, they went on long walks around the neighborhood, exploring picturesque paths and collecting seashells on the shore. Milo turned out to be a hardy and energetic companion, always ready for new adventures. Several months passed when Sarah began to notice something was wrong with Milo. The usually energetic dog suddenly became lethargic and apathetic. He refused his favorite treat, pieces of boiled chicken breast, and slept for long periods curled up in his basket. One day, Sarah tried to wake Milo up for a walk, but he suddenly growled and tried to bite her hand. Sarah recoiled in horror and burst into tears. She couldn't understand what had happened to her sweet little puppy, who had turned into a nightmare. Milo's behavior continued to worsen. He became easily irritated and often snapped at Sarah. He stopped listening to her and seemed completely unresponsive to commands. Sarah began to worry that maybe she had done something wrong. One morning, Sarah noticed that Milo was drooling heavily, something she had never seen before. Suddenly, his small body began convulsing. Sarah panicked, not knowing what to do. Fortunately, the seizure ended quickly, but the incident terrified her. Sarah immediately made an appointment with the vet. Dr. Johnson, an elderly man with kind eyes, carefully examined Milo. He found that the dog had a fever and swollen lymph nodes. The vet took some tests and scheduled additional exams. When the results came back, Sarah was surprised to learn that Milo had epilepsy. The seizures and aggressive behavior were a result of this illness. Moreover, Dr. Johnson discovered that Milo was starting to lose his hearing, which explained why he had stopped responding to commands, became withdrawn, and was easily startled by everything around him. The vet explained that Milo had likely had more seizures than Sarah had seen, leaving him feeling exhausted and confused. This, combined with hearing loss, was a very tough experience for the little dog, making him aggressive. Milo was just as scared as Sarah but had no way to express it. Dr. Johnson assured Sarah that with medication, the seizures could be controlled and Milo's condition could improve. He also suggested techniques to help the dog adjust to the gradual loss of hearing. Sarah was relieved to learn that Milo still had some hearing left, and they could do a lot to help him adapt to his condition. The seizures would never completely go away, but there were medications to help manage them. Returning home, Sarah immediately began following all the vet's advice. She felt guilty for thinking Milo was mean and vicious. He had been through so much, and Sarah was glad she hadn't given up on him or lost faith in him. After taking the medication and following the vet's recommendations, Sarah began to notice that Milo was becoming lively and active again. It was so nice to see the positive changes and to watch her little companion return to his friendly and good-natured self. Over time, Milo once again started running around the apartment and settling on Sarah's lap. Sarah couldn't hold back tears of joy. She knew that with his condition, things wouldn't always go smoothly, but now she had the tools and knowledge to support him and make his life a little easier. Sarah knew that many people wouldn't have even noticed Milo because of his strange appearance, and his unusual behavior and illnesses were serious reasons to give up on the little dog. But not for Sarah. Milo would always be special to her, and she was happy that they overcame all the difficulties together and maintained their strong friendship. Now they had everything they needed for a happy life: love, care, and faith in each other. Sarah knew that together they could overcome any challenges that lay ahead.